Our last cruising video saw us leaving Liverpool, and as we headed back to Wigan, we had to make a decision. Were we going to head up towards Leeds, or were we going to change directions? We decided not to head up to Leeds, put off a little bit by the Wigan flight. We decided instead to head down and explore the Peak Forest Canal. This required a day's trek through Manchester, which we didn't film, but we have included some photos of our journey. Our day consisted of the Rochdale 9, which are notoriously leaky and large and quite challenging to do, and then that was followed by the 18 locks at Ashton, so 27 locks all up before we moored up in Droylsden Marina. I have to say we did this flight 10 years ago when we did the Cheshire Ring on a week's holiday, and it was a lot easier and a lot more pleasant than it was then, but I know that there are still stories about Manchester, and I think you'll always get those in any city canal, but we found it to be not too bad a day. The best decision that we made was booking in for 2 nights at this marina, which is just after the last lock on the Ashton Canal flight. This gave us a chance to recover and recuperate from a day full of locks, and it also gave us a chance to do some washing and get ourselves ready for the next part of the journey. If you can see a lock gate there, it's the last lock on the Ashton flight. Just down that little part there is Droylsden Marina. But we're heading this way, towards the turn onto the Peak Forest. This is still the outskirts of Manchester. Nothing like the city centre that we saw over the last few days. Got a bit of a low bridge here. It's interesting that this one's marked on the map, but the 2 that we did when we went through Manchester were not marked on the map, and I suspect they were actually lower than this one. I wonder if the camera shows how precarious it is. We've got a couple of inches.
Like I said, 4 inches to spare.
Yeah.
So 6 foot. We're at 5 foot 8.
We measured the boat again last night, just to make sure, but
I do have to duck.
We will have to duck, yes. And oh yeah. She a bit tight, that one. And we did it. We got through. Phew. Made it to the top of the Ashton, or the bottom of the Ashton. No, which way? Top of the Ashton. If we went straight ahead, we'd be heading on to the Huddersfield Narrows. But instead, we're going to fight our way through these geese and turn right onto the Peak Forest. Basin today. So we're now on the Peak Forest Canal, and we just had the good news that a wind-blown tree that was blocking our path about a mile down has now apparently been cleared. Oh yeah, I've got one lift bridge bridge to do today. Not too bad. No logs, just one little bridge. Technically still just on the outskirts of Manchester, but you turn the corner and suddenly feel a million miles away. It's another pretty stretch. Actually very lucky to get through this morning. A tree came down in the last couple of days, and they've only cleared it at 8 o'clock this morning, so stop and collect some of that, but I'm not sure if it would fit in our fire. Particularly compared to the bridge. This is the fabulous place that we moored last night, just before Marple Aqueduct. Beautiful and quiet. Not that you'd tell that because we've got the engine on now. And we're heading up Marple Locks this morning. Coming up to what used to be a tunnel, but they've opened out the top of it. So you've still got the tunnel sides. But you've got some trees and sky above it. Very serene. Just after the tunnel, we've got this little basin and then out onto Marple Aqueduct. Beautiful day. I'm talking about the weather again, I know. Due to get to 26 or 27 today. lock. There are 16 to do today, but they're quite pretty. Gary's going up to get the next one ready while I wait for this one to finish. And they're in a lovely setting. And the paddle gear is fairly easy to use. They have ground paddles and they have gate paddles. I'll show you on the next lock how you use them and what you do. Something that is a bit different about these locks is that the arms of the lock gates actually go over the bridge. So after I've let Gary in and checked that his stern is not going to get stuck in the gates, I then have to pull the gates from the bridge instead of pushing them from the top. They're quite deep locks too, these ones. And thankfully not too leaky, that's a bit at the front, but not too bad. Alrighty, so he is clear. Time for me to close these gates, so I'm pushing that one out of the way. Come and push the other one as well. If you're doing a lock that has gate paddles and ground paddles, you do the ground paddles first. So ground paddle done, and now we wait until time over shortly. We wait until the lock is about half full or just coming up to nearing the top of the sill. Until I open the gate paddle, because the gate paddle can create quite a lot of water and turbulence. Now that both are open, she's coming up pretty quickly.
So we're in lock number 9, I believe, of the Marple Aqueduct. Going pretty well, about 15 minutes per lock, which is good timing. Still going to take about 4 hours for the whole flight. Coming up. And here we are in the final lock of the Marple flight, lock 16. That's been a fairly smooth ride up. 11:45, we started at 8. They normally reckon on 15 minutes per lock, so that's pretty spot on. Off to the right there is the Marple Canal. The peak Forest Canal continues round to the left, and that's where we'll probably go.
Peak Forest. I've been on the lower Peak Forest before as part of the Cheshire Ring. is our first time up here. It's lovely. I have no idea what that is. Anyway, lovely. Junction, that way to Bugsworth Canal basin, and this way to Whaley Bridge. We'll be doing both, but we'll pop down to Whaley Bridge first. So as we suspected, there weren't any moorings available down at Whaley Bridge. There's only a few visitor moorings and they're 7-day, so quite popular. Instead, we're making our way to Bugsworth Basin. This is rather gorgeous. I didn't go for a walk around, unfortunately. We've had a couple of nights there. And we're heading, who knows where? We're not quite sure. We know that we're going to hang around the upper peak forest for a few more days. But we'll just see what moorings there are up ahead. It's unfortunate that this isn't smell-o-vision because this is the Swizzles factory and it smelt delicious as we cruised past. It's a pretty big call to make, but so far the Peak Forest would have to be our favourite canal. For scenery, it is second to none.